intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey Star Trek Fleet Command fans, welcome back to the channel. Patch 77, update 77 here for you, where we're going deeper into the Section 31 storyline. And as we've already previewed, there's a new ship here, new solo waves, and all the goodies. So we're going to talk about that. But first, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor. We got to give a big thank you to somebody coming through to sponsor these videos so that we can provide content and, well, you can get some savings. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage and then jump right into it. Hey Star Trek Fleet Command fans, today's video is sponsored by App Gallery, and I'm going to tell you how you can save 20% on your purchase and a 25% off welcoming coupon. Pretty neato. Let's talk about it. How can you get 20% savings? Well, you got to download Star Trek Fleet Command using App Gallery's app. It's just simply another way to download your favorite games and take advantage of great deals. So, if you are in Ireland, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, Austria, Belgium, etc. That's how you can set it up in your region settings. Simply download Star Trek Fleet Command using App Gallery, and you get the link for that in the description down below, so that you can start accessing some pretty dope savings here for Star Trek Fleet Command, because Lord knows there's plenty of things for us to go after. And if you want to save some coin, like I said, get the App Gallery itself, download Star Trek Fleet Command via it, and link it with your PayPal account. Save you a little bit of coin or not, but I will tell you, nice to save where you can, especially in games like this. Thank you to App Gallery for sponsoring this video. All right, so let's jump into it here. We know we've got new stuff. Let's start with, well, the obvious. There's new officers here matching up with the Section 31 crew. And yes, they're going to be bringing more Apex Shred in PvP and situations. Now, how do I feel about that? Well, I think many of you know, but let's go through the notes and we'll discuss that together. Don't forget, if you were watching this video the morning it came out, we're giving away battle passes over on Twitch. Make sure you check it out on our Twitch channel. So new missions. Do want to say I like that even though the missions are kind of mid 40s, you do have side missions to include our lower level players. I think that is a good move. We've definitely seen more and more people wanting content down there as the game continues to make content up here. Those that haven't caught on yet, just go ahead and spoiler it, because I actually don't think it's said in here for the new ship. Starts at level 45 and above, just like the new solo waves do. So having to be pretty far into the game at this point for that. But key features of the GS31, we've previewed this a little bit already, so probably don't need to get too deep into it. There will be a video about the new ship, using it, how the mechanics itself work, as well as a chart with all the details coming soon. Don't have that in this video, but can go over some of the basics with you, which I think is completely relevant. So for example, cost. If you were to max this bad boy out, 200 trillion tritanium. These are raw costs, FYI, and we'll of course have those videos explaining how that compares to others. But for example, you're gonna need 32,000 rare rare gas. Gonna need 46,000 rare gas, 5-star, 6-star. So not cheap, not cheap. Now, parts, still not too ridiculous. Efficiencies will help bring those costs down a little bit, but this is not a cheap ship. This is something that you're going to have to work on upgrading. Keep that in mind. That has this gravitational blast. You can see an example of it here in the system. Just same like the Borg Cube. Beaming them. However, this one able to hit multiple non-armada hostiles, which is, again, a neat feature. I actually really like that as a signature weapon. So we'll see how that actually ends up playing out. And I'm very curious to see how this plays out in PvP arenas, because while it won't multi-target hit, at least right now, the fact that you can apply a weakened status, remember that is a new status effect. You can see right here, how is that going to apply and how is that going to affect strategy in PvP arenas? So direct hull damage with the beam, the weakened status effect, hitting multiple non-armada targets, and then upgradable power, of course, research making it better. So has the passive abilities for Apex Shred and marked for disposables. Elevate our GS31. So unlock the full potential by doing these researches. Again, that weakened status effect I was talking about here to get a boost for Apex Shred against players who are weakened. Then you have a critical chance and critical damage boost against weakened players. Apex barrier boost against weakened players, and then repair efficiency. And then finally, the one that'll apply to everybody wanting the materials and ship parts cost efficiency, making more of those loops viable, and hopefully G5 scrapping coming in soon, really helping that out. So your newly refined refinery system offers the best source for ship parts in the game. So explore Interceptor Battleship Survey, increase rewards based on both ship tier and player grade, which I actually like that, but that's also going to make our spreadsheets a little annoying. But again, we'll have that in the video for the ship. I do think that's a good thing, and they're trying to keep to that promise. That's the best refinery in the game for ship parts. So guaranteed common, uncommon, and rares. I love that it's guaranteed. Look, again, however long it takes you to get this ship, whether you get it day one or you get it later down the road, so much of this game has been locked behind the RNG of Scopely. And you roll the D20. Got it right here. Sometimes it rolls well, sometimes I rolled a 17. Sometimes it rolls in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, you don't have to worry about that. Guaranteed amounts. We like guaranteed amounts. So the strong box will also include parts to upgrade the ship, covert modifications to unlock new research, and then finally the recycle tokens to exchange for more ship parts. All right, let's move over to the officers acquisitions part of this. I like this as well. So your new officers sourcing for Giorgio, Rachel Garrett, Zeph, Enterprise E. Riker, and Strange New World Una, also included in this new loop. Let's talk about the new Elite Solo Waves coming here in patch 77. Building on last month's challenge, Elite Solo Wave defenses up the ante with waves of 6 or 9 hostiles, including fast-moving Orion Prowlers and Syndicate Reavers. Now, as the name would imply, their impulse speeds are high, so this is where that new ship's going to come in, especially its ability to hit multiple targets. They're really leaning into that. So you can have 9 or 6 hostiles per waves. Again, they have very fast impulse speed, so another officer below decks to throw in, Dane. Speed things up a little bit. Use of the GS-31 to counter Apex Barrier and destroy groups of hostiles with the ship's gravitational beam active ability. They say it is a recommend. That's going to be a need there, Ghost Rider. And then earn large quantities of Section 31 access keys along with recon data to upgrade the ship in exchange for ship parts. So the Elite Solo Waves tied directly to the GS-31. New officers in here. We've got Quasi with a officer ability and below deck ability, no captain's ability, but increasing Apex shred against players and then increasing Apex shred against non-armada hostiles. Basically the same thing as what Giorgio does. Then you have Sahar here, increasing Apex shred against players if on the GS-31. So very specific there on the officer ability and the below deck ability, increasing Apex barrier against explorer hostiles. Very niche use in that one. Synergization though, when paired with existing Section 31 officers like Giorgio, Rachel Garrett, Zeph, these newcomers unleash even greater synergies, whether you're taking on large groups of enemies or simply carving through well-defended Apex barriers. We'll add more to the loops, that's for sure. And as I was talking with VIPs last night, I mean, just a tier 3 Giorgio will completely negate a lot of players' Apex builds. So curious to see how this plays out. Have some new chaos tech for you. We got the Echo Papa 607, increasing weapons damage when whole health drops below 40%. Surprised this is an epic considering how the first ability pops off, but at the start of each round, increases ISO defense for 4 rounds against players, and then increases Apex shred against players, but will not work in station combat. There is a new rare, the morphogenic virus. For those of you who played, watched Star Trek, remember that is what the Section 31 team unleashed on the Founders in Deep Space Nine. On Combat Star, reduces the opponent's critical hit chance for 5 rounds, does not trigger on armadas, assaults, or during station combat. So it doesn't work like the Quantum Slipstream where that just works everywhere. Then increases ISO damage against players when using the GS-31 and reduces critical damage of players weakened by the gravitational blast. So this is definitely a CT you want to see on your GS-31 if you want to use it in PvP. And last but certainly not least, another rare, the Tothian Mines. This is a call out to Galaxy Quest. So increases isolated defense for 2 rounds when hit by a critical hit, and then increases raw Trillium A, Trillium D, and Omega Trillium loot obtained by Mirror Universe or from Mirror Universe hostiles. This is something that obviously you'd want to throw on your NSEA. Increases critical damage against those mirror hostiles. So a nice rare to throw against those mirror runs and add to your NSEA. And then last but certainly not least, battle passes and cosmetics. Then a slew of bug fixes. Slew. Got lots of scrolling. So there we have it. Again, we'll have more in detail notes for the GS-31 ship and etc. Not a ton coming in this month, which generally to me means a good month. Really, all you're getting is the ship and solo waves with a few different things added in, meaning you have a good month of already existing content. We know there's going to be events for solos and waves. I think that's pretty good. I like it when it's not an overflow of content in the month. You let me know what you think, though, in the comment section down below. Do you prefer it to be a fuller month? Do you want it to be like this, or are you happy with how it is? Be paying attention to some of the events that are going to launch. Can't show you that, a few hours away, but see what you think. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with their Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next one, and we're out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.